It's quite a, I don't know, I'm not going to explain this right, but there's quite a sick irony that the ocean and all its wildlife are there, and human beings create this boxed in sea life centre and then put all the animals in little exhibits for humans to see them. Right, this is where I'm staying tonight, the Lodge Hotel and Bar in Old Hunstanton. Driving to this place, there's money in this area. I stopped at a Morrison's, it wasn't a Morrison's, £6 for a punnet of fruit, £7.50 for a big bag of Norfolk popcorn. So yeah, £70 doesn't feel too bad because some of the places that I was passing were extravagant. Bed and breakfast, lodges, you name it. So let me get checked in. We'll have a look at what this place is all about. So, £70. Good old Nutridol. Love it. Coat hangers. No Bible. Got a Bible in the £30 one. Does the job, doesn't it? Does the job. Always wearing a box of tissues by the bedside. And it's very warm in here. I don't know if these windows open, but I've got a big old fan. I think that is the day. Alright guys, that is the lodge in Old Hunstanton done. Would recommend it, great bed. If you're a couple, nice cheap weekend away. I'm off into Hunstanton. Let's go. Okay, day 5. I think this is day 5 of my East Coast tour. I'm not going up the coast very rapidly, I might have to reassess later on. But I'm in Hunstanton. It's 9 AM and the place is not alive. So, not quite sure, like nothing. There's no people, there's no vehicles, there's just seagulls. It's surreal. Like, it's 9 AM, it's not, it feels like, have you ever been somewhere like 6 AM really early? Look at this, there's not even dog walkers. Oh, there's a guy on a motocross bike going across the park. So, oh, it's a shame that's not open. Battered Mars bars and battered Cadbury's cream eggs. Never had one of those. So, I'm going to start by walking this way. This is I believe, the quieter area, but there's apparently a shipwreck that you can see. So I'm going to have a look if I can see that, and some Clifftops. And then I'm going to go back all the way that way. It says on Google that there's a pleasure beach, which, if you've ever been here, may jog some memories for you, I guess. I've never been here before. Initial impressions. Let me get on the beach and have a look. Okay, so there's the pleasure beach in the distance. I don't know what we're going to find that way. I mean, it doesn't look like a sort of beach that you'd want to sunbathe on. But then there's plenty of space to sunbathe there, I guess. Hunstanton, I believe, is really, really popular. That guy with a motocross bike in the distance is now riding along the promenade. Yeah, I believe it's really popular here. And actually, up the bank there, it looks really nice. Lots of restaurants, ice cream parlours, kitchens, hotels. So first impressions are it's a little bit sleepy, but it is 9 AM and it is, I don't even know what the date is. Mid-April, end April, something in April. So we're going to have a little explore. Okay, I just asked co-pilots for some interesting facts on Hunstanton. And it has a local celebrity, or used to in the early 1900s, a guy called Henry Lestrange, who designed the checkerboard effect on all the houses, which you can't see at the moment because we are walking along the promenade. But when I go up, we'll have a look at that. And it also told me on the original pier in the, I think it said 1930s, they built a roller skating rink for the Victorians to have some fun on the pier. It also pointed out, and I can see them in the distance, these clifftops. I'll get a little bit closer and we'll have a look at those, because you can clearly see the difference between the, I think it's a chalk layer, and the layer below. Looks like there's some landslides happening as well. That'll be cool. There you go. Famous Hunstanton clifftops, or cliffs. You can see some of the landfalls, pretty significant. Do not climb on the cliff face, stay away from the edge of the cliffs. So, the shipwreck is around that corner, and I don't want to walk that way. So I'm going to go up here and along the cliff top and see what we can see. Here you go, look. The stripes on the cliffs are approximately 100 million, give or take. It's a few million years, 100 million years old. Here's another cool fact for you, and this I think actually is a cool fact. Hunstanton is on the east coast, but it faces west because of where the coastline comes in. So it's the only place on the east coast of England, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but it's the only place on the east coast where you will see the sun set to the west. That's pretty cool. I find that pretty cool. Right, you see what I mean? Look, there's a group of cyclists just gone past, but there's nothing moving. There's no body work. And just over there in the distance, you will not be able to see this. But over in the far distance, 12 and a half miles away, is the coast of Lincolnshire. And you've got, I think, Gibraltar Point somewhere over there, which is a bit of a nature reserve with seals, which I've seen none. And then it leads into good old Skegness, Skeg Vegas. What is this? What is this? Oh! Wow, so this original piece of masonry belonged to a chapel built in 1272. I mean, those gardens, memorial gardens just around it, or what would have been inside it, they're over 100 years old, 1918, but 1272. So that's an old Coast Guard lookout tower that's now available to rent. Sleeps 4. Coast Guard Lookout. Coast Guard Lookout Hunstanton.co.uk. If anyone's interested. It was a Royal Observer Post 1907 and then went into the Coast Guard Service 1963. Always good to point these out. Talk to us if things are getting to you. Samaritans 116 123. Serious mental health is serious. So if you're watching this, you've got the number. Reach out to someone and talk. So I've had to walk absolutely miles past the shipwreck, not knowing, to gain access to the beach from this end, to then walk all the way back. It would have been much quicker just to walk past the cliffs that I saw, so I'm going to go this way all the way back now to the main touristy part of Hunstanton. Look at how perfect a line between the two different soils there is along this cliff. Like, you couldn't make it more perfect if you tried using modern technology. Just levelly plane out one surface and then drop another on top. And actually, if you look at the chalk, there's lines all the way through the different layers there as well. Oh, I'm here. I almost walked past it. So this was a steam trawl, I believe, steam engine boat, built in the very early 1900s and used in World War I and World War II before getting shipwrecked here. Couldn't find any information on what it was used for in the wars. You can see a lot of, what are they, mollusks? I don't know. They now call it home. It's quite big. It must be 40 metres in length. And apparently when the tide is in, you can't reach this, which is interesting because the tide looks so far out and also really low down, so Right, let's get off this beach before I get caught in the tide. In the Clifftops as well, you won't be able to see them, but there's loads of, I'm not sure the breed of bird, they look to be some sort of gull, all nesting and sounding out alarms as I walk past. I think this looks the freshest landslide of it all, and I say that because there's lots of dust still in it which hasn't been sifted away by the rain. Every now and again the gulls will swoop down and from their nest and do a loop. It's almost as if they're, I don't know, not exactly dive bombing or marking the territory. It's more like they're just doing a bit of a reconnaissance. Kicked it off its ledge. So that building behind me is a local sailing club, and there was a sign on there saying the time of the high tides, and for today 5 AM and 5 PM. So we're not going to see how close the water gets to the edge here, unfortunately. The chap behind me with his kid was just asking that lady, is no one on half term down here? He's from Leicester. But no, they're not on half time down here, so Leicester for some reason is a week later than a lot of other places. So he was asking why it's so quiet, and you can see how quiet it is. It's now 10 AM. But they've got it on an electronic display as well, next high tide, 12 minutes past 5. I am there. So I walked all the way down to, there's the lighthouse. I walked down past the golf course and then I've just walked all the way back along the beach. So I want to have a quick look here, because it says there's a pleasure beach, but if you go on Google Maps and click the pleasure beach, all of the photos are just of an empty beach. So I'm a bit unsure of what is down there. I also need to get breakfast, but look, there's absolutely nothing open. Of course, one of the only people I would see is a bloody traffic warden. They don't miss a beat, do they? You know what, that was alright. GG's Treasures and Tea Rooms. I think I paid about £7 for a scrambled egg on toast. Of course, it's never enough when you're a greedy pig like me, but relatively healthy start to the day. I just checked my steps. I've done, I can't remember, but walking up and back 3 miles so far. So 3-mile walk, granny bread and scrambled eggs. The only problem is I've got 30 minutes left on my parking to get down there and back up there, and the traffic warden is putting tickets on people's cars. A little snake, get a job. My God, the fair's on. I'm not gonna have time, am I? Should have put, you know, the car parking, it was 2 hours for like, it was 1 hour for £2 or something, 2 hours for £4, and then the next one was like £7, which I didn't anticipate walking 3 miles. Look at that Shipwreck. So, but I do want to try and capture this, because if you're watching this and you've not been here for a while, basically on a lot of my videos have people, one of the things that inspired me to start doing this actually was a couple of people's comments who, due to reduced mobility and disability, they can't get out and about that much, and they'd watched a couple of my videos that they really enjoyed because it allowed them to see certain areas. Look at this crazy golf, sort of wedged in between people's properties behind it. So yeah, that was what inspired me to start doing these videos. So I really want to try and capture as much of Hunstanton as possible without it seeming too rushed. Please keep clear for the wash monsters. Oh, that's the name of some boats. Yeah, so if you're watching this and you've been here as a child and you've not been back since, I want to try and capture that, don't I? So I may just have to accept I'm going to get a parking ticket. We'll see. Hunstanton Sea Life Centre, meet the otters. So I'm going to go to the seal sanctuary in Mablethorpe probably tomorrow, I think, which I'm actually looking forward to. So it's actually a big old fairground. They're just setting it up. This is pretty cool. Look, family playing French balls on the beach. Grandparents, grandson, I assume that's the mum, or maybe that's the mum there. Quite cool. So it's a small pleasure beach. There's nothing too much beyond it, so can we go in? We're just setting up and testing everything. Nothing's actually open, they're testing stuff. Always makes me wonder, these rides, like what checks do they do, because the salty air must play havoc with the metalworks. I mean, that's all very heavily painted. So anyway, I think that is it now. Maybe I'll get back in time to avoid the car parking charge. Private caravan park over the way. So it's a very narrow, strip with the fairground on. This must get densely populated in busy periods. There's people starting to appear, which is good. There's quite a, I don't know, I'm not going to explain this right, but there's quite a sick irony that the ocean and all its wildlife are there, and human beings create this boxed in sea life centre and then put all the animals in little exhibits for humans to see them right next to where, I mean, granted, probably most of the animals in there aren't native to our shores, but it just seems a bit, bit wrong. Like, only humans would come up with something so twisted, wouldn't they? I'm sorry. £4 for an ice lolly. Come on, man. Since when did using the term cleaners become derogatory or offensive? Like those toilets I've just been in. It says these toilets will be cleaned by either male or female operators. They're not operators, are they? Operators is a name for special forces. They're cleaners. Nothing wrong with being a cleaner. It's hard graft, earn the money. I think it was yesterday that I was saying, what do you reckon would be the best place to work on a seaside town? What about the worst? I think the worst would have to be an amusements arcade. Imagine just all day listening to... You'd go absolutely mad, wouldn't you? Like, Microsoft Teams. There was a period where I'd dream about that ringtone of Microsoft Teams in my sleep. I'd hear it when I was trying to get to sleep. That must be a brain doing. Okay, I was first person in this car park, so I thought a warden might be waiting for my ticket to expire, but I've got here with 10 minutes to go. Again, Hunstanton, farewell. Oh, what is that, man? Fucking seagulls.